Nice. So that is it.
We are going.
We're live. So we've got a lot going on. I know we just talked a bunch off the podcast about what we wanted to start with, but where do you want to start? You want to pull up just some of the things we're looking at?
Yeah. So we were just, let's just start with the one that we were about to go off the rails on. Let's start with the Chinese digital currency and the,
all right,
the
folks,
implications behind that.
We're going right into Chinese currency today.
So, yeah, they've got a centralized digital currency now. I mean, they've had it for a while, right? At least like the last year or two.
No, I mean, like, I think they've been trying to do similar stuff like this since like 2013, I believe. So, but as far, I think the start of the yuan that started in 2020. So 2020 is where this the centralized digital currency that China is implementing really took off. This is it. Yeah. So. And that also, I'm sure, was probably pushed by the birth of all of the Bitcoin and that really taking off, just the other digital currencies that are on the market for us today. But the obviously with China's, running their own digital centralized currency, it's extra scary, and everyone has to use their Face ID and their metrics. All
naturally,
of their
as soon as they introduced it, they decided to tie it to your social credit score.
Exactly. That's what I was going to get to. So they also they put in all of their personal information, like to their address, all the way to their credit score, and it's been successful apparently. That's what they say. So like 88% of the transactions now since 2020, and they've really started the yuan as their currency. That's what they've been using. Everyone's been using for the most of their purchases.
Yeah, I can see it taking off because digital currency is above all else convenient. Like, how often do you swipe a card anymore? I just use my phone, my Apple Pay and all that. I don't have to pull out my wallet. Don't have to fiddle with cards. Don't have stuff falling out of my wallet because my wallet is falling apart and I need a new one. But yeah, the scary thing is if other governments look at China's model and decides that that's a good idea, that works, because now the government is basically in control of and has access to all of your purchase history, everything, anything that you spend money on, they have their nose in. And who's to say they don't decide that they don't want you buying something or anything.
So they're already doing that.
Well, in China.
Yeah, so China is already doing that. Just to give an example, so obviously we're gonna hold off on this for a long time, but
I would hope.
It's scary because it's a slippery slope. So you see it be successful somewhere else, and people in other more Western valued centered governments may see like, hey, like we don't really want to go that crazy, but we like some of the things that came from this in the sense of control. So that aside, though, like the scary thing that's already happening is that, like you were saying, it's attached to this social credit score that they have. So something that we don't have here in America.
Well, that we know of.
Right, I guess, yeah. I mean, like, you can assume a social credit score.
You can end up on a watch list.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as having a bad social credit score, right?
Sure, yeah. And then just depending on like the assets that you own and then how you're spending your money, if they can track that, which they can't. That's how.
I mean, they can, but it's a lot more hoops they have to jump through. They got to subpoena like banks and shit to get your.
And I don't think that they're legally allowed to do that.
Oh, they can.
You sure?
If they have probable cause and they can get a subpoena from a judge.
Well, no. I'm just saying, like, we're not even talking about like you did something illegal and someone wants to know what you're doing.
Well, that's the only case. That's what I'm saying. That's the only case that they can really do that legally.
But as far as like somebody who just like is mishandling their money. And not a way that is looked at as smart in most eyes. We don't have a way as a bank or a creditor to look at that and say like, okay, well, this now affects you negatively or positively. So the thing that China's doing, like if you get a gym membership in China, like your credit score goes up, and then like maybe if you're not paying for something on time, or like maybe you have more than one credit card,
or you
maybe
buy a video game.
Well, yeah, you're buying video games and more clothes, but even down to like the food that you eat. Like they're seeing that has also a negative effect. It kind of goes hand in hand with the gym thing, where like, like maybe there's like a small inherent good in this, but like it should be up to like the freedom and liberty of the people making their own decisions.
Well,
like,
I mean,
if you want to eat Cheetos,
that's our perspective,
right? Exactly. Yeah, that's not their perspective, but our perspective should always be like, if you want to eat Cheetos and never leave the couch and just like scrape by and eat Sprinkles. Then the
-5 points.
-5 points right there. But yeah, if that's what you want to do, like it should be your freedom to do so. So it's just scary to see that we always have known that China's been up to
we're
stuff
talking
like
about
this.
the negatives of it because that's what we're focused on. But that kind of makes it look like, oh, that could never happen here. But how I think the government would try to sell that here, because again, my personal stance is I try to trust the government as little as I need to, because let's face it, every government has skeletons in their closet, and if you start looking, it gets scary fast. But I do think that our government is a little bit better intentioned than a lot of the other governments, especially the Chinese government.
Yes.
But if the U.S. wanted to push for something like that, they would bill it as a security thing. Like, oh, with this, we can track like terrorists buying supplies to build a bomb or something. And, on the surface, that's like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. And then you realize, and I'm going to bring up another slightly spicy topic, the Second Amendment. They just decide one day that, oh, well, you can't use your digital wallet to buy guns or bullets.
Yeah.
We're not making them illegal, but you can't use this to buy it.
Yeah.
And then now no store accepts anything but.
Yeah, you can't find a vendor that accepts cash. You can't find a vendor that accepts even anything outside of the digital currency that everyone's now using.
Yeah, because now, then your credit cards are now tied to this digital currency instead of like the regular decentralized dollar.
Yep.
So it gives the government an uncomfortable amount of control of your day-to-day existence. And I'm not okay with that. And I would hope most of the American people would not be okay with that either.
Yeah, and especially not because, like you were saying, we already have the infrastructure put in place for credit cards and mobile banking and all that stuff, and like all that stuff is fine. It's not scary. It's
because it's decentralized.
Yeah, but like it's just scary because I guess like to put it in perspective, like we've put all of our like financial things into an envelope and like it's just in one place now, and so it's very scary that we could like potentially put that in the wrong hands. Could be the government saying that like, well, now we're taking oversight of all these
and we're
digital
currency
companies,
all of this.
Yeah, so you can
there's already government like insurance, I think FDIC, but
sure. And to your point, what you were saying is that like we do have the CIA, NSA, like these companies, government companies that do look into nefarious acts, terrorism and stuff like that. So we do have those things, but like they're not as easy as it would be if they were all in one place, because they have to go to each bank, kind of figure out the credit cards.
They got to subpoena the banks and do all
right,
this
and
stuff.
It's not even just like going to the banks. It's like there's a bureaucratic wall between it. Subpoenas and paperwork and
as much as bureaucracy sucks, it does at times protect you.
Yeah.
There's a reason for it. As much as I like to malign
Yeah.
bureaucracy and red tape. I'm like,
Yeah,
Liberty
and-
Safes.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. So Liberty Safes is the same thing. So like if that was an actual like, and maybe is, who knows? We don't know like the full story, but like if that was like a nefarious person, like we do appreciate that we have these systems in place that, can, the CIA should have some of these like legal rights to do things. But in that case, it was blatant.
They didn't go through the right.
Blatant. Like
the
breaking
CIA,
the
I guess,
law,
isn't
like,
obligated to get a subpoena before asking.
Yeah.
But Liberty Safe was not obligated to give that up. And
and
their
shouldn't
social
have,
media guy put something out that they're changing their company policy, but that's too little, too late. And I did find out that it isn't one master code for all of them.
Yeah, we kind of assume so. It was a scary
but
idea.
certain models you can reset the master code, and Liberty released the information on how to do that.
Yeah.
But other models, you can't.
Yeah.
So, if you have a Liberty safe, you might want to look into which model you have, which manufacturer made your lock, and see if you can't change that code.
Yeah. Do some research if you're that
And you
worried.
can also call Liberty and ask them to delete that information.
Yeah.
They can't help you if you lock yourself out, but they will no longer have it
Yeah.
if they keep their word.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a feeling, just like Bud Light, they're not going to bounce back from that.
I mean, Bud Light didn't die.
I mean, I just don't think that. Another thing. We kind of spitballed about that, but I don't think that they actually did bounce back. Like now, after the podcast, talking to some people that had been previous Bud Light drinkers, and they were just like, "Turns out I like other beer." So I mean, it's unfortunate, but it was enough to give diehard Bud Light drinkers a chance to try something else.
I'm gonna try Miller.
Yeah, and now they just don't want to go back.
Yeah. What's number one now? Modelo?
No, and I wouldn't say Modelo's number one. Modelo took off. Modelo's always been a great beer. There's tons of us that have had.
Well, Bud was the number one sold beer in the
Modelo
US.
took off just because of what the UFC did for it. So the UFC, it became like the official beer of the UFC, and it was like something Modelo, the fighting spirit, And so, tons of deals were going on as far as like pushing Modelo in the UFC events, like for people to buy.
Yeah.
Before you know it, like now everyone loves Modelo, and it was just like this.
Turns out I like other beer.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And you know what's so funny? My mom actually turned me on to Modelo. She had tried it out at a restaurant, and I was like, you know what? That's funny. I was like, I've actually never had it, and I tried it.
Modelo's still number one.
Yeah, above.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, then and I have to give kudos to that because I bet that the reason it's number one now, like amidst all of this Bud Light stuff, especially, it was the UFC.
Well, it's a right time, right place thing. They hit this. They struck this deal right when Bud Light shot themselves in the foot. So
yeah, good for them.
Yeah, I guess.
So that's the number one. What's the number two beer in America?
I didn't look that far.
Over 20 years.
Yeah,
Bud Light
Bud
was
was
the number
20
one
years.
for 20 years. That's crazy.
Oh my God, why can't I type? We're just going to do top 5.
Yeah. Yeah, 20 years.
I don't know if this is in order, but we got Corona Extra, Modelo, Bud still up there.
Blue Moon is number 4.
Sam Adams, Heineken, Corona, and Guinness.
So that's let's click on that and see if that list comes up in a certain way, because I'm surprised that people like Blue Moon that much. I'm not much of a
Blue Moon was available at Jake's Bar, which is just they've got like 3 beers on tap, and Blue Moon was one of them.
Well, my my buddies, shout out to them if they're listening, but we would always joke that the only reason that Bud Light, the only reason that Blue Moon was on the draft list was that it was a signal that if you ordered it, that you were going to get into a fight. Like you were like, hey, can I have a Blue Moon? And you would just punch the dude to the left of you. But yeah, just a running joke.
Oh wait,
about
hang on.
crappy
This
bars.
thing's saying that this list
So
it says Guinness is number 1, followed by Corona, followed by
is
Heineken.
this United States? Because this is starting to feel like it's probably not United States, and it's everywhere. It's the world, wherever they're selling it.
Most
US.
popular beers in the U.S. after the midpoint of 2023.
Okay.
It's the top 30.
30. Jesus.
Yep. Number 1 is Guinness. Number 2, Corona. Number 3, Heineken. Number 4, Sam Adams. Number 5, Blue Moon.
That's crazy.
Budweiser fell down to 6. Modelo is 7. Corona Extra is 8. Stella Artois is 9. Coors is 10. Where's Bud Light?
18.
15.
Oh, 15. Bud Light down to 15. 20 years would be at number 1.
Well, I don't know.
People are still preferring Pabst.
PBRs.
Yeah, PBR is still beating Bud Light. All right, well, weird tinge, but cool information. Good to know. I mean, it was not what
we were
thought it was
talking
gonna
about Chinese
So
central
it's gotta
banking.
it's gonna be something. Damn this fly! Hang on a second. Just our daily podcast fly issue.
We left the door open a little too long this weekend.
Yeah. Dang it. Nope, he's coming back. Man, this does not make for good content. This is way more extreme for us than it is for the viewers. I can't explain to you
It's off your arm.
the intensity.
The flute.
Oh,
There it is. It's right there.
dude,
Thing's
this
a
one's
fucking ninja.
quick and keeps coming back for me. Well, you might have to cut this out of the podcast. This is getting unreal. I mean, all right, he left us for a little bit.
Anyway.
So what I was going to say, just pedaling back to the, we were talking about the currency issues, centralized, and some of the red tape that would keep the United States from doing stuff like that, and you know, just the hope that would never happen.
Yeah,
and I feel like we've got some good people on our side, you know, as far as liberty and like, and I'm just reminded of that from this chocolate milk ban. The thing we were talking about before. So the Biden administration had put into play a law that would ban flavored milks from schools. So that would just leave just regular milk, non-fat milk.
Juice.
Yeah, and crazy enough, like juice and
Which
apple
is
juice.
a lot of sugar, usually.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a diabetic, a glass of apple juice could kill you. So,
Well, I mean, chocolate milk's not going to be much better in that respect.
but it actually, but it is by
It
like
is?
probably by like 10 or 15 grams of sugar. I mean, the amount of sugar that's in some of these apple juices are
You
like
know,
somewhere between like 45 grams to 64 grams. It's the
got-
same as a soda.
We've got government shutdown, you know,
And this is
narrowly
what they're talking
avoided.
about.
We, you know, funding the Ukrainian war, massive immigration down at the southern border, and all kinds of other issues. You know, $33 trillion in national debt. But yeah, let's take the chocolate milk away from the kids.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you know me. I've always been a picky eater.
Yeah.
Always, my entire life.
Yeah.
I lived off of chocolate milk as a child.
Me too.
Like, I couldn't do regular milk. I just could not.
Yeah.
You know, I drank chocolate milk like 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would have done if they'd banned it while I was in school.
That's part of the argument. So, but again, and now this is the Biden administration doing this for the only reason that we can think of is that chocolate milk and flavored milks just aren't healthy, and
well, I mean, yeah, look what it did to me. If I didn't drink chocolate milk growing up, I might be 110 pounds, not 130.
Yeah, well, you are a medical anomaly, and we're gonna call Gerber and make a whole special about you.
Gerber?
Yeah, the baby food. You know, they're gonna do a whole special about you from being a baby and what you've eaten and how you've turned out. And
I was a fat baby. I was a
well, look,
chunky
regardless, we're
baby.
talking about the fact that like they're just trying to take the milk
Yeah.
away because it's potentially like unhealthy. So, and to your point, it's like, well, what about like the orange juice, which is hardly any orange, and the apple juice, which is hardly any apple. And the other thing is too, like with those juices as well, like how many oranges do you have to
Or, you know,
squeeze to
they
make
also
one?
sell like Gatorade, which if
Yeah.
you're not actively like sweating
Yeah, if you
and working out, you're just getting way too much salt.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
all that's
exactly.
doing.
Yeah, and to just drink a Gatorade after like not having a hard workout or like at least not going to work out later and like becoming drenched in sweat, there's no need to drink Gatorade. No. And Gatorade was supposed to be concentrate, and it was supposed to be cut with water. Was how it was originally made.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so they changed the formula a little bit, but kept the sugar, and people love
salt.
it. And so, of course, that's electrolytes. Yeah,
It's got.
but.
I almost quoted Idiocracy, but I keep forgetting you haven't watched that. It's got electrolytes. It's got what plants crave.
Yeah, so
You need to watch that.
I will. I'll get to it. I mean, the world is already scary enough, but I will watch Idiocracy. But,
Stay informed. It's telling you what's going to happen.
Yeah, it is literally the farmer's almanac for the world. Idiocracy. Shout out. What is it? something Judge.
Mike Judge.
Mike Judge, yeah. Shout out to Mike Judge for tremendous
Man
film.
was prophetic.
I watched some of it. We just didn't finish it. So, but anyway, so again, Biden administration is trying to ban chocolate milk, all flavored milks, because it's essentially just kind of being deemed as unhealthy. Which again, like, there's other things that are also unhealthy that are on these food menus, and they should be looked at further than milk. And if that's even really what the point of this whole thing is, and I don't think that like it's really being looked at with a close enough eye, because if it was, they would be looking at all of the other unhealthy things. But even all those things set apart, like giving a kid an unhealthy option, I don't think is like the worst thing. You know, I think that like understanding, educating kids on what's healthy and what's not healthy, and what those long-term effects, no matter what your biological makeup is, and how and how much that has an effect on you in your physical appearance, but also like just in your body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how long is the engine going to keep running? You know, you can be skinny and have high blood pressure and high cholesterol.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
But seriously speaking, like, you know, if we're going to keep our kids safe in schools, you know, like, chocolate milk is not where we're starting.
No,
you know?
and honestly, like, you want to make an actual difference, how about we focus on the quality of the lunches served?
But not to just wrap this up for like 1 second. It's also, it's like it should be up to the child, but more to the parents' discretion on how these kids are eating. You know, we shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater just because all of these things are unhealthy. It should be their option to choose an unhealthy option or a more healthy option.
Yeah.
That should be the objective, not just take away all the sugar and like good stuff they do want, because like you can have some of that stuff. It's not like everything's good in moderation, but like the kids aren't taught that today. So, you know, yes, we do have an issue with maybe some of the younger, you know, population eating a little more snacks and food and sugar and stuff, but like instead of just taking it away and be like, no, you much too good for you, you can't handle this, you know, it's like, no, don't do that. Just tell them like, hey, like, I know you're enjoying that.
And of all things, chocolate milk.
I know, yeah,
It's a good source of calcium.
That's the point too, is that to you, and that was another good argument in the congressional meeting, was that like they were like, hey, like, chocolate milk or not, there's still good stuff inside of that milk that kids are not getting if they decide to not drink milk and they switch to apple juice, which again, my other point, apple juice and orange juice is not healthy beyond what the popular belief is. Like, because if you think about how many oranges it takes to make 1 glass of orange juice, that is a lot of oranges. Where in the timeline of this world have we ever had 47 orange juices or oranges in one time?
Well, I mean,
because that's what you're drinking.
Like 8 eggs.
That's not bad. I mean, eggs go down pretty easy. But regardless, it is a lot of cholesterol, and you should probably balance that out with some other stuff.
Yeah, I balanced it out with a burger.
Okay, we'll talk. We have to have a nutrition podcast for your sake. But the point is, I mean, you could never just sit there and eat 40 oranges.
No.
You know? No. Like, there's so much sugar, and you wouldn't want to eat 40 oranges. So why would you want them all smashed into this one glass? You're not getting
a controversial take right there. Orange juice isn't good for you?
It isn't. So, I mean, look, I'm not a nutritionist, but trust me, it's not good for you. Like, if you're drinking orange juice, you should stop. Like, eat an orange.
So I should drink soda then?
No, you should drink an orange with a glass of water. Or eat an orange with a glass of water. I think I said drink an orange.
Yeah.
Whoops.
I mean, same thing.
Yeah. But because like it's so true, dude. Like if you were to try to like eat that many oranges, you'd be like, I'm sick. I have everything that I need. Like, so you're not supposed to eat that much of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with like juicing. So like when people juice like all these greens up, you're getting too much of those greens, and there's actually like I think it's even like a carcinogenic that is actually formulated from having too high of concentrated in greens. Like in like a juice thing, there's I really wish I could remember what it is, but just know that also, like if you're juicing greens, it's the same thing. If you have anything in too high of a quantity, it's bad, and
well, yeah,
it has been linked to cancer.
anything if
Yeah.
you have too much of it.
Is it
water?
phthalates? Not phthalates. What the fuck is it? I forget.
But yeah, you drink too much water, it can throw off the like the pH balance
Yep.
of your blood.
Yeah.
And you get water toxicity and
Yep.
die.
Yeah.
And that's water.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything in excess is bad.
Yeah. So just have a normal diet. We talked about
Yeah,
this before.
eat like 8 eggs and a burger.
Jesus.
Look,
Yeah.
man, I just learned how to make soft-boiled eggs. It was like a bite-sized snack, all right? And I put one on the burger. I ate so many eggs that night.
It just changed your life.
It was so good. Soft-boiled eggs.
So, no, and that's another thing too is that, you know, anything in excess is bad, but the extremes of high cholesterol is actually turns out that it's far less dangerous than we thought. You know, the higher cholesterol levels, you know, on paper, the unhealthy people ended up with high cholesterol, but if you were healthy and had higher cholesterol,
Is this one
it
of
was
those,
good.
like, kind of correlation doesn't equal causation kind of things?
Exactly, yeah.
The
And so-
cholesterol didn't make you unhealthy. You being unhealthy gave you high cholesterol.
Yeah. So if you're really healthy and you're working out and like you are eating like a high cholesterol diet like red meat and eggs more often, and again, you should balance everything, but if your diet does lean towards that side, you may have higher cholesterol, but your body knows how to use it. And you know, considering if you're working out, using your heart, you know, your heart rate, pumping some blood, you're moving all of that cholesterol through your body, because like if you didn't have any cholesterol, you die, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Like, if you have too much
I think we should
cholesterol,
also
you
just say
die.
that this isn't like, you know, a blank check to go crazy with your
Exactly.
cholesterol.
I said
You
balance.
know,
I said
balance everything
Yeah.
out. And we are not nutritional experts,
No.
but you know, we know how to use Google.
Yeah. And, but that's the other thing too, dude, is that like everything's anecdotal. You know.
Again, you know, how many times has it been like eggs are bad for you? Eggs are good for you. Eggs are bad for
I
you.
know, dude. I know.
Eggs are such a
Yeah. Like you can't even have a nice soup anymore. You know, they're like, yep, that's unhealthy.
My favorite thing is
everything.
this is known to the state of California to cause cancer. It's just like, oh, good thing I'm not in California then.
Yeah.
Everything causes cancer.
Yeah,
You live too
dude.
long, you get cancer.
I know, and that's why like you can't look too far into it. But like if you just understand you have a balanced diet, you're working out, exercise, do your thing, you know. But you know everything's good in moderation. But at the end of the day, man, like if you just as long as you're happy, you know, nobody wants to push anything on
Like
anybody.
I said, I'm here for a good time.
yeah,
not a
a
long
long
time.
time. You know, it's up to you. But yeah,
But yeah, no more chocolate milk, kids.
yeah. So well, no. So it
Yeah, it failed.
Yeah. So they failed to pass, or actually the amendment that was being passed to remove that the Biden administration's ban on milk, flavored milk. There was an amendment that Representative Tom Tiffany, I believe, from Wisconsin, had introduced, was saying that no, it should stay, and that passed, which means that strawberry milk, all flavored milks,
So flavored
will
milk has
stay
been
in school.
exempted.
Yes, so it's all. Don't worry, flavored milk is staying in school. So, but again, and like to just put a pin in this, like, why is the government, even the federal government, is trying to take away flavored milk?
I mean, they've had these health initiatives for, like, you know, Michelle Obama had that whole school lunch
Yeah.
program thing
Yeah.
for, like, healthier school lunches, and all that ended up doing was kids threw away more vegetables,
Yeah,
if I remember correctly. But, like, honestly, if they wanted... When it comes to, like, conspiracy theories, my question is always, why? Why is
Yeah.
someone covering this up? Why is it? So, you know, I just want to preface that when I say, like, I don't understand what they're going for other than control, and even then I don't know, like, why are we trying to control this. But if they really genuinely cared about, you know, the health of, you know, the children and then their school lunches and just the American populace in general, they'd overhaul, like, the FDA's regulations on, like, how we prepare food and how we, you know, determine food is safe for consumption and all that. Because, you know, it is true, you go to Europe or, you know, Asia and you look at, like, the school lunches or just the food that's allowed to be on the shelves versus what we have here, it's night and day.
yeah, dude. Things like Ritz crackers banned.
Yeah.
Banned from Europe. What are you talking about? Like Ritz crackers. I love Ritz crackers, and now obviously I've stopped eating them pretty much to its entirety because I know like there's no nutritional value, and you know if there's a little piece of pepperoni and cheese next to it, like I'm gonna have one.
Yeah,
You know what I
balance
mean?
it out, man.
Balance it out. But there's so many other options. But it's such a hyper processed cracker
Yeah.
that like clearly these other countries are like they saw the ingredients and were like, well, we'd rather not kill our people to make some money, so we'll just make our own crackers and we won't sell Ritz.
Fanta, which actually originated in Germany during World War II, is a completely different drink than it is here. Like, it's a different color and everything because they don't allow the dyes that make Fanta fluorescent orange. Yeah. It's almost like orange juice colored. Dude. Way less sugar. It's apparently less sweet but more fruit flavored. Yeah, and then Mexican Coke is like the other really big example that I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yes.
It doesn't have high fructose corn syrup, and it's got like caramel and sugar, like cane sugar.
Yeah.
And
just
it's
sugar.
so much better.
Yeah.
It's so much better.
Yeah, but it's just more expensive.
Well, because it's being imported. I bet you it's
No.
cheap.
It's just more expensive to make it that way. Like, we made it this way because it was cheaper to hire. Like,
and when I was in
volume.
the Philippines, all of the sodas there, same regulations. They had bottled Pepsi. It's all in glass bottles, too, which is great for recycling. I don't know why we ever decided plastic was the way to go.
Probably shipping. It's weight.
I mean, yeah, but I would rather have glass.
I know. I have so many, and then they just sit here. I try to give them to people when they come over, and they're just like, thanks, but no.
Yeah, like
no
me.
Thanks.
It's like, oh, you want a sparkling water?
Yeah.
Like, do I want water that tastes like the idea of a fruit? No, I'm good.
Or static. Tastes like static. Yeah. But, yeah, so the federal government shouldn't be dictating all those things in the first place. But to your point, what I think that it actually is that these, first ladies and other congressional, parties are just virtue signaling.
You think it's like a vanity project?
Yeah,
they want something good to their name.
Yeah, exactly. They want to see, like, good health initiative.
Doesn't matter if it works.
Representative,
but
blah,
they
blah,
tried.
or
They tried
Michelle
their
Obama.
best.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't work, but they're like, yeah, but we were on the right track. I've always had this in mind. I've always had the people.
This has always been a passion
and the young
of mine.
people in mind. And it's like, no, you just pretended to do this, and this is like
you went after the easiest thing.
Yeah, the low-hanging fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I guess we can move on from that. What else we got as far as, can we segue to a good from government to something else?
From government?
Maybe the keyboard's probably off. Probably died.
Yeah, it did. There we go.
So probably the Pegasus. Do you want to touch on that real quick, just as far as like government stuff goes?
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah. So the for people who are listening and don't know, Pegasus is a spyware that was created by the NSO Group, which is an Israeli-based company who privately sells cybersecurity software to specific government organizations, and specifically only those. However, there's been a lot of allegations of leaks of that specific spyware across all over the world. So many different places. And so the allegations and the proof of all this stuff is so difficult because of how good the spyware is. Mm-hmm. So these spywares are infiltrated into like Android and iPhone operating systems, and they're able to infiltrate those through what they call a 0-day exploit. So if there's a security issue deep inside the software code of a phone that wasn't found during the publishing of that software update, when you get new updates on your phone, if there's a hole in that somewhere, there's a hacker sitting in a basement somewhere that's just rifling through that code trying to find a way and
looking for any exploit.
Exactly. And this isn't like anything against iPhone or Android for those the operating systems. There's just so much.
Every single system has a weakness.
Yeah,
and
so
someone's gonna find it.
Yeah, so once they find those things, how this started out when all of this code writing and technology was first taking off is that they would bring that to the company, like if it was Google, whoever, like whatever in their operating system, because that goes for email, and then in the operating
so you
phones,
got like Apple, you've got Google, you've got Microsoft.
Yeah, so these hackers would be like, hey, like Mr. Google, Mr. iPhone, like I have this
I found this
exploit, and then they were like, okay, cool, thanks for letting us know. We really appreciate that, bud. You did good. And they were like, well, I kind of want something for it, and they were like, oh no, we're not going to do that. And then they were like, okay, well then I'm not going to give it to you. And then they were like, in a few cases, I think that they did give them some money, but pretty quickly they had realized, like, hey, like, we're not going to give money to people who are just sitting around finding our exploits. We're going to find our own exploits. We're not entertaining people,
We're not
third party.
this.
Yeah. So what that immediately created was a black market for zero-day exploits. So people like Saudi Arabia, people like, other
Russia, China,
these companies or countries rather that have companies or people who are just interested, like maybe not even like any like malice intent, but they're just interested in like whatever something's going on. So like if it means that like they're hacking into like a journalist's phone, or a political opponent's phone, they're just kind of like,
or Jeff Bezos,
which is the one that's most popular that I know of, and I'm sure that a lot of people are, if they are familiar with Pegasus Spyware, that they would also they understand that story. So long story short, it's essentially how he got divorced, which is pretty terrible. Because he was cheating, and they found those pictures on his phone, whoever allegedly, and that's another thing too, they never even found who actually hacked into his phone, and they can't prove it. They can't prove whoever did it, because whoever hacked into the phone with that Pegasus spyware or whatever spyware it was, it also was removed just as fast. But after the investigations, they were saying that like that spyware must have been on the phone for over 2 months, and so they had gained access to and everything on the phone, like with this Pegasus spyware. So that means the location, all of your text messages, all of your pictures, being able to enable and disable the camera, just the entire code of the software. They can turn your phone off and back on. It's incredible. And all of this was done through a WhatsApp. So WhatsApp being like a new app, there was tons of exploits in it. End-to-end encryption.
Build itself as encrypted and secure.
Yeah, end-to-end encryption didn't matter because the key is the phone, and Pegasus opens up the phone. It becomes the key. It can now see the code for the key.
But it can spread through WhatsApp.
to unencrypt that messages. So it's pretty crazy, and it's super scary that like they can do this. And so again, like it's not supposed to be for use for other people, but clearly
it's
like,
gotten out
somehow. Like from one of the workers like who work with this spyware have leaked it. So now it's just there's no putting that genie back in the bottle. So it just keeps getting dumbed down, cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and before you know it, it's on Jeff Bezos' phone. Which, like, again, he's a high value target.
Yeah.
But
and he was targeted. He wasn't like collateral damage.
Yeah, and so now there's a Pegasus spyware, the original, and then now there's a Pegasus spyware 2. So Pegasus 1 was the spyware that got Jeff Bezos in 2018 and had been investigated in 2019. They suspect all kinds of people, but again, they couldn't prove anything. It's just how sneaky this spyware is. It's crazy. But inevitably, they did release a bunch of photos, which led to his wife finding out. Blew up his entire life. It was awful. Bad Jeff Bezos. Hopefully he
still gonna buy stuff off Amazon.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, hey, it's not his anymore, so
Yeah, he definitely doesn't have a hand in that pocket, though.
Yeah, another conspiracy, but
It's not even a conspiracy.
I know you can link that one pretty
He probably
quickly.
owns how many shares still?
I know, yeah. Well, the shareholder doesn't own the company. I'm just kidding. So Pegasus 2, though, so what's scary, that it was a WhatsApp message. He had to click the link that unlocked, that enabled the key on the phone to encrypt all those messages and get Pegasus spyware in. Now, Pegasus 2 is a 0-click. Doesn't matter. I think essentially they just need an email or a phone number. They need an address to go to, and then they got it. And I have to imagine that they figured out just from... It must be something, like an issue in the software that's in every single phone.
Yeah.
That it's a 0-click. So if they have your information, they can just unlock that phone.
See, I don't know nearly enough about programming, anything like that.
And neither of us can ever, dude. It is so crazy. I watched a video on it, and it's crazy.
The only thing I can think of is that it's exploiting some like core function of the operating system. Because if it came in through an email, you have to open that. You have to click on something. Like, your phone doesn't just open your emails for you.
Right.
So it's got to be like coming in through something that is like essential to the operation of the phone, that is always active and connected to a network.
Yeah.
No idea what that could be.
Yeah. But
maybe they're exploiting the 5G antenna.
Yeah, I don't know, man, but they're doing it, and like I said, it doesn't take any more than that. Just knowing it, once it sends that message to you, it's in there.
Yeah.
That's the newest one, though. Now, again, like Pegasus 1 was just used in 2018. We're talking like 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how far we've gotten with the next Pegasus, but like as far as like how many
5 years in
the
tech world's
how many
a long
hands?
time.
Yes. That's what all I'm saying is, like, the new one's out now. I don't know how many wrong hands Pegasus 2 has gotten into. That's all I'm saying.
Do we know if it's actually
Pegasus?
out?
Pegasus has the original had been invented, like it was first used and like was an official thing in 2016. So it took 4 years for someone to get into wrong hands.
Yeah,
like really wrong.
But we
hands.
haven't heard any reports of Pegasus 2 leaking yet.
No, not yet. But we know that we have used it. Not we, but like it has been used and it has been proven
successfully.
Yeah, and some images of the software have actually been leaked. And
what does that even look like? Just code?
Primitive. No, dude, it looks, honestly, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like the layout of a guitar GarageBand. That's what it reminds me of. It just has like that like same like kind of like feel and outlook. It's very like 1990s. Like, whoever made it was like, I want this to be James Bond.
I am Hacker Man.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like black and green code, and like, it's not that.
I totally would have done
it. Is like a real, like, drop and click. Like, it just looks pretty easy to use. It's crazy. And, like, just like buttons to go like, hey, microphone on, microphone off. Like, it literally looks like it's that easy. It's not like you have to be talented to use it. You just have to have the right people and the right amount of money.
You just have to have the software.
Yeah, to be able to buy it and access it and know how to implement it officially. But
now that's...
I know, man, we're in a scary
terrifying
time.
You combine that with the new camera Wi-Fi technology.
Yep. Yeah, dude, and all the deep fakes. The deep fakes, I mean, like, people, like, I mean, just the AI generated stuff.
Right now,
we've had a good fun with these videos.
Yeah, if you look close enough at like the pictures are getting really good.
Yeah.
But you generally, you look at it, you can still pick out that it's AI, but like
it's still the uncanny valley.
But this is like year 2 of AI being like, or AI like image generation being widespread and these deep fakes and shit, and it's already like you have to actually take the time to look.
Yeah.
To see that, oh no, this is AI.
Yeah.
Give it another year or two.
Yeah.
Where are we going to be at?
I know, dude. And it'll be, maybe it'll be like a political person.
Yeah. And I mean, we already had hints of like the problems this is going to cause with the writer strike and the actors strike, because they're like, we're going to pay you one time for your face and your voice and your likeness, and we're just going to generate it via AI.
CGI you in. Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there goes all the people that spent, their lives being an extra in movies for their entire life.
I mean, for someone like me, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll license my face for a movie.
Yeah.
Because I'm not an actor.
A one time. Yeah, you'd be like, yeah, I'll take 2 weeks off and be an extra.
It's not even that. Like, you pay me for like, the likeness and pay me for a day to go out and get scanned, and make my CGI double. Because again, I'm not an actor. I'm not going to do this on the regular. But if you want to pay me like $1,000, you want to pay me $1,000, I can go back to work and keep making money, have an extra $1,000 in my pocket.
I don't know if you should just do that.
I could be the face of a company.
Well, a pretend company on a movie. But remember that filter that people were doing that made them old?
Yeah.
So that turned out to be Chinese spyware.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what are they using them for? I mean, like just like everything, it's like it's not about like what you are. It's not about like what you have to hide. It's about what someone else stands to gain from it. And so, look, I mean, even if it has nothing to do with you and there's like no malice intent, but if selling your face to someone for CGI purposes, and you just put your face on this app, and now just hit agree, uploaded it, and then you're like, oh, that was fun, and like now they're like, cool, we have your face. To the highest bidder, please. And they can just like sell your face to like some AI generating company who they're like, look, we just need human faces. Like we just want human faces. What do you got? And they're like, well, we have a lot actually. We have this whole app that has everyone's face.
Those AI faces, people have actually like looked into this. They're not ever like an actual person. They have a database of faces, and your face might go into that. Right. And it uses that to like just generate a face, like they take features and blah 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 and make a new face out of it. So I don't think unless like you're explicitly being used for something.
A picture of your face is on that phone.
Bro, the government already has my face. Has your face too.
Yeah, but it's not selling it. China is. I mean, we try to always stand on the side of the government as much as we can as
Apple
upstanding,
has your face.
upstanding
Face
tax. Well, wait, what does?
Apple.
Oh, well, Face ID. Yeah. But again, like I also do trust a lot of the things that Apple has done. Apple has been on the right side of this CIA crap that they've tried to pull in the past. And again, like we also like to believe that the CIA. I know, we're not sheep here, but like we like to believe that our government and our CIA have our best interest. I'm trying. I can get through this. Have our best interest, hopefully, in mind.
The CIA, I trust the CIA has the country's best interest.
Yeah,
the country might not be you or me necessarily.
Yeah,
but we are in the country.
Yes. So, I mean, whether or not the CIA is violating human rights and constitutional rights and laws and whatever, but
it's not if they're violating constitutional
I'm
laws.
trying.
How many?
I'm really trying here. I'm doing my best. So I mean, again, because we don't want to label ourselves completely as conspiracy theorists, but we're also like not going to keep our head in the sand. For sure.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I barely trust the government.
Yes, yeah, but. It's at least it's our government, and it's better than everyone else's.
It's not that I trust that they're necessarily malicious.
Yeah.
I don't trust them to be competent.
Yeah,
that's where my distrust stems from.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Them being incompetent, negligent, or making mistakes and not having the right leadership to use the assets and what they're trying to do in the correct way, for sure, dude. I think you're totally right. And that's probably closer to the truth than anything is.
Yeah,
if we're being honest, it's not like malice intent. It's
there are these things called
maybe they're just human.
There are these things called razors, right? The most famous one is Occam's razor. The simplest solution is usually the correct solution.
Yeah.
There's another one, I forget the name, but another razor is never. Why am I blanking on the word? Never attribute maliciousness to what could be incompetence.
Yes, I've heard that. Yeah, that's
so
such
I follow
a good one.
those both.
Yeah,
that's also why I tear apart conspiracy theories, because I just put Occam's razor to it and it does the cutting.
Yeah.
What's the simplest excuse here?
That's
it's
usually
crazy, shadowy, world government,
happening.
Or this guy's just a greedy asshole and is corrupt.
Yeah. So just to again put a pin in the Pegasus thing. It's scary. It's out there. The genie's out of the bottle. Hopefully, it continues to stay in the right hands. But it has been used there's at least like 40 cases of journalists in Saudi Arabia. Definitely in other countries like Germany. Now the weird thing with the Jeff Bezos thing, that was in 2018, which is around the same time that Jamal Khashoggi, who was working for the Washington Post, which Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, and Jamal Khashoggi was writing articles and just saying things that were not in favor of what Saudi Arabia would also agree with. So we all know how the Jamal Khashoggi story goes. We don't need to like get into all of that, but it is now fact that he was murdered by Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, the CIA claims that the Saudi crown prince put a hit out on him.
Yes. Yeah. So do yourself a research on that. I mean, that's like, it's pretty in depth, but I mean, they put him into pieces and sent him on his way in this embassy in Saudi Arabia. He was there for like some convention thing.
What embassy was it?
I don't know. I don't know, but it was like a very big one where they were having a meeting that he was supposed to be attending, and he never makes it to the meeting, and you can see in the security footage where he walks and then just disappears. And then the rest of the camera footage is cars leaving in all directions from different places. The suspected assassins who did it, who were also had plane tickets from crazy different parts of the country, had no business being at this conference, and were there, seen on camera, and then also leaving in these cars. So it was like, well, yeah, that's a case closed. Like, these known assassins just came to this conference,
here and this guy's gone.
Jamal Khashoggi just disappeared, and then they all left in separate cars, going to separate directions. Got back on a plane and left, all before the meeting was over.
Are you tying that into Pegasus Spyware at all, or just saying it's crazy this is going down at the same time?
No. Yes, absolutely. Because the infiltration of the Pegasus Spyware onto his phone months before they'd even like made an attack on him per se, of saying like, hey, that now we're holding you ransom. The conspiracy is that, like, I think they were trying to find information on Jeff Bezos, again speculating, on Jeff Bezos about the Washington Post to try to maybe somehow manipulate Jamal Khashoggi, but I think this happened anyways. And then they were like, well, we're already in Jeff Bezos' phone. You know? But regardless, it does seem weird that Jamal Khashoggi was working for the Saudis. Now there's claims saying that like it was the prince that sent him the WhatsApp message that was encrypted, but that they're thinking that was the message where Pegasus Spyware got in. And they're like, so what, the prince had nothing to do with it? And then Jamal Khashoggi dies like a month later? Or a year later, maybe? No, I forget what year that was. But it was like right around that time. So like the whole thing just seems like a little creepy that it was all together. And like that guy worked for essentially Jeff Bezos at the Washington Post. So I don't know. It's all weird. It's again, it's speculative. You know, somebody else should look further into it if they think it's that crazy. But I thought it was a little suspicious. A little suspicious.
Put the tinfoil hat on real quick.
Well, I mean, maybe just take the blinders off. You don't gotta go tinfoil hat. I don't think it's that crazy.
Take the blinders off. Stay woke.
Stay woke, fam. So, but what else? Oh, so speaking of Saudi Arabia, the line.
The line.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about the line.
So no cars, no roads, no traffic. 9 million estimated as a population for this. How long is it supposed to be? I think it's a few miles.
170 kilometers.
170 kilometers, which is probably
it's over 100 miles.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably 100 miles, because there's more kilometers than hours.
Well, yeah, 100 kilometers is 62 miles. That's almost 200.
So maybe it's like 80 miles. We'll spitball.
No, I'm pretty sure it's over 100.
Yeah. So, but I mean, look, at 80 to 100. I mean, we're talking apples and oranges here. So this thing's gonna be long as fuck. I mean, what is 80? What is the equivalent size? How big's Texas? You know, what is So, but anyway, so the Saudi Arabia is creating a new style of living, and they're calling it the line, and they're building a I think it's like 1 mile wide, or maybe a half mile wide, and then it's going to be like 80 to 120, probably like 120 to 100.
Matt says it's about 100 miles.
Yeah, so about 100-mile long city. That's also going to be, I think, like 6 stories high. So just imagine like a giant
meters
skyscraper.
Tall. This is all in metric.
Yeah.
I speak freedom units.
Freedom units.
Freedom fractions.
Freedom fractions. Yeah. So in the middle of Saudi Arabia, they're just gonna put up like
It's
the
a
world's
linear city, is what I would describe.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
literally a line.
or
you know.
like a shopping mall that you can live in. That's just in like one line. You know,
Yeah.
and it's like it's gonna be like one just giant community that'll have parks and daycares and dentists and, you know, attractions and fun and roller coasters and pools and spas. And I mean, it'll have literally, the idea is that all 9 million of the residents in the line will never have to leave.
Yeah, everything
No cars,
they could possibly
no
want
roads.
is right there. It's got internal built-in transit.
Yep.
So, you know,
like a
I see
small
it
train
going-
system.
I see it going one of two ways, personally. You know, it could the Saudis have money, obviously, and they could do this right. You know, they have very impressive infrastructure with all this money. Like, I mean, I know it's the UAE, but like the Burj Khalifa and all that, like these massive towers and the man-made islands. But like, I could see the same thing kind of unfolding in Saudi Arabia, where they actually pull it off, or it ends up like what's that one city that's no longer around? It was in some East Asian country. Super dense. There's a Call of Duty level, and I think Black Ops. That
But it's a
it's
flop.
like Hanoi or something.
Yeah.
Is it Hanoi? I need to know. It's gonna bother me. But
Either
there was
way,
this
it's
really
gonna fail.
really dense.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I'm looking at it, like, it seems like it's like the idea of like a minute city, but or like a 15-minute city, whatever they call them, where like
it's not
you don't have
Hanoi.
to actually like leave the city that you live in, and that you're walking distance from like 15 minutes away from everything. But it's like that times, you know, a dictator superpower. You know,
Yeah.
and they've just been like, yeah, how about we just put the entire population of Saudi
Kowloon.
Arabia?
That's what it was. Kowloon walled city.
Okay. Oh, the walled city. Creepy.
Look at how densely packed that was.
Whoa. So, folks that are listening, Adrian just Googled super dense Chinese city.
Kowloon. Kowloon.
That can get you there. But yeah, Kowloon, walled city.
Yeah,
And,
they tore it down, but like
Why'd they tear it down?
because it was a health hazard.
Yeah, it doesn't look healthy.
And you know, China was trying to modernize, and that wasn't a good look. But this city was.
So, I mean, like, what specifically? They just didn't have like good plumbing and draining, or is it there? But it was just too close. It wasn't like good for human life and civilization.
Also,
just a bad example.
So, I'm kind of going off memory because I watched a video on it.
Yeah.
A couple months ago.
So you're an expert.
But
Show of experts.
I
folks.
think it was it actually like in Hong Kong technically, which if you remember had that
What's that
kind
picture
of
say right there? Does it say? Oh no, it doesn't say.
Hong Kong region with Kowloon
Yeah.
walled city listed as Chinese town at the upper right. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
in or around Hong Kong.
Yeah.
But
pretty
you
much.
know, Hong Kong had that kind of weird. Who are they really being ruled by kind of thing? You know, they were
speaking.
ruled by the British, and then the British gave it back to the Chinese with the understanding that Hong Kong would be able to run itself for like another decade or so, or I forget the specifics.
Yeah.
But Kowloon was in Hong Kong, and I forget their exact history, but they basically ran themselves.
Yeah.
Like, police didn't go in there. Government officials had no say in there.
No way.
It was like seedy underground, but also everyone took care of each other. Just total. You know, you see all those future movies, and it's all dystopian and super crowded and packed in, and
Yeah.
it's all based off that. That's where they all got the inspiration from.
Of course, China was like, yeah, we already did that. It didn't work.
But I think when
Fucking
China
shit.
started asserting control over Hong Kong, they tore it down.
And what was the idea of packing everybody in so tight? What's
It
the
didn't
big
start
deal?
off quite like that. It was originally like a fort, I think, back when China
Oh,
was
okay. I was like, wait, what? Like you were like,
no, like an
they're
actual fort.
no girls allowed.
No, an actual fort. But back when China was like not one country and all kind of in the center
Excuse
somewhere.
me, are you saying China not one?
I'm never allowed in China now. But no, back in the olden times before China unified under the glorious CCP.
Yes.
But like I think these buildings right here are actually part of the old fort, and I think it even like at one point was a Christian missionary.
Whoa.
I could be completely off base. Like I said, it's been a couple months since I watched that video. But they just
Religion
kind of
is
started
spicy over there.
building all around it, huh?
Yeah, religion's spicy over there.
Yeah, they just started
But
building
Hong Kong
around
was
it.
like to your point, because you were just kind of touching on like a really cool fun fact. Not cool if you live in Hong Kong right now, but where somehow Hong Kong wasn't really like for the past like 20 years, or actually I think 50 years or something like that. That Hong Kong actually wasn't run by China; it was run by the British
British Empire.
Empire. Yeah,
It was a British territory.
yeah. Which was like fun fact. That was awesome, because like no wonder like people loved Hong Kong, and like there was actually a lot like going on for Hong Kong.
They were the
And then just in like 2020,
industrial power of China.
Yeah.
And then China started to actually that's kind of why they started asserting their dominance over Hong Kong before the deadline was technically up.
they wanted to be there ready.
China started to get their own money. So China was obviously, CCP, Communist, Chinese Communist Party. They were communist. And as we all have seen in the past, communism does not exactly promote prosperity. Hong Kong, being a British territory, was being operated under capitalist, ideals, and was flourishing.
Mm-hmm.
So they had money. They had all the money. They had influence and power. Well, China finally wisened up and kind of turned their market into a freer market, still controlled and beholden to the Chinese government, but they allowed private ownership of business and actual competition and innovation and all that stuff. And China became the manufacturing powerhouse that built their wealth and power into what they are today.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have the money and the power, and they don't really have to care about how Hong Kong feels.
Yeah.
So, even though the deadline technically isn't up, they're like, you belong to us.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
Yeah. Capitalist, Western ideologies removed.
Yeah, and obviously the people of Hong Kong are not very happy.
Yeah, they're
about that.
pissed.
They liked their lifestyle, but these pictures are insane.
Yeah, that's how tight the city was. Yeah, it's so crazy.
Yeah, I forget the exact numbers, but it's 3 to 5 times more densely populated than the most densely populated part of New York.
Yeah. Look at that picture you're on right now.
This
the big
one?
picture? No, the big picture.
This
To
one.
the right. Yeah, it says inside Hong Kong's lawless
Yeah, like I
walled
said, no one
city.
went in there. Other than the
That's
people that
so
live there.
Crazy. Crowded place, crowded place on Earth for 40 years. Is that an article? Can we click on that? This is it right here. That's so crazy. So they had an entirely walled off, overpopulated, overpacked in, just crammed city. And it was supposed to be some bright new idea, and it was from the 1950s until 1994.
Okay, so
Over 33 people
33,000 people in the
lived.
space of one city block.
Yeah, in one city block, 33,000 people lived and worked in Kowloon Walled City, a massive complex of 300 interconnected buildings that took up a city block. Bro, that's insane.
Yeah.
And the British run,
The
Hong
city was
Kong
essentially
government.
lawless.
Yeah.
Equally known for its opium dens and organized crime at its dentist office.
Organized crime at dentists, and you could go to opium dens. So
That was
you
the
could
other
just go-
thing. There was a bunch of
Jupiter.
a lot of the doctors there were doctors there because they lost their medical license in China.
Oh no! Oh no! They're like, yeah, they stopped letting me do heart surgery, so I just pull teeth.
Yeah. They're just like, I'm going to Kowloon. They don't ask for licenses.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying that they could still be doctors? And oh no, they didn't just start pulling teeth. They're like, yo, I do heart surgery here now. I'm good to go.
It's like that one Japanese guy on The Office. Very good heart surgeon.
Oh,
Number
right.
one. Then one day, Yakuza.
Then one day, yeah. Oh my God, I love The Office. That is so great. Yeah, they're just working in the warehouse.
Daryl, get me job.
Yeah, I know, that's such a good scene. But now it has layers, because that's probably what the Office writers were probably insinuating, was that like this.
Well, I don't think
Probably.
he was from Kowloon. He was Japanese, not Chinese, but...
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yakuza. That's the Japanese mafia.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Sorry.
But, like, that wouldn't be surprised they got some inspiration from that kind of...
Yeah.
But, yeah,
I mean, or they were just spitballing, and they were like, oh, shit, we were right. Like, this kind of stuff happens?
Yeah, Kowloon
Yeah.
was...
Wow, that's crazy.
Was a trip.
Yeah. What's next? This is crazy. And I can't imagine. And we should end this with just reminding people that they did destroy it because...
1994.
In 1994, because it was a health hazard. It did not work. It was not a good economic city. It was bad. Clearly, I think there's something to be said, though, that, like you were saying, that, the people who did live in this city kind of had a sense of community where they're like, hey,
Yeah.
this is our thing. Like, we get to do this. And
Well, they couldn't rely on, like, government anything.
Yeah.
Because they just didn't go in there. So they had to handle things themselves.
so, actually, we should talk about this a little bit more. How could someone be a citizen of this walled city?
I don't know. You just show up and go, I need to live here.
But if no one's allowed to go in,
Government's not allowed in.
so anybody can just come and go, but the government wasn't allowed in.
Basically, from my understanding,
That sounds crazy.
police at least weren't allowed in, and armed
But-
forces.
But
Until they finally,
But
like,
you and I
forced
could
them
just
out.
go visit the city and.
I mean,
have
as
good
a
time.
tourist, I don't know. But if you were destitute and had nowhere else to go, yeah, you'd probably be able to just
Walk
find
in?
a way to make a living.
What the
there.
fuck? Where's the entrance? Can you look up the entrance? How do you get into this place?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily
it's a walled city.
walled. I'm pretty sure, like, it started, like I said, it started off as a fort, I believe, and that probably had walls. They probably just built over them.
Yeah.
So you just walk into a building. Might be
Yeah.
someone's house, might be a dentist's office. I don't know.
So did this essentially just become like the projects, or
Yeah, this
like-
was a slum, just
Okay, so this was just like a shitty place to live.
very.
Okay, yeah. So we should also not glorify how much fun these guys and how great the economic playing field here was. No, this was.
You look
this
at a
was
picture
awful.
of Kowloon, and it.
Well, it's sometimes like for cities, it's hard to tell. Like, I mean, just because like things aren't going good there doesn't mean that it looks any different than a regular city. Not that that's good or bad about the appearance of a city. What I'm just saying is that like, you can look at one really nice part and another bad part, and maybe not always tell a difference. If you're
I don't
headed
know if there was a
flashcards.
nice part of Kowloon.
Well, I'm saying a city,
Uh-huh.
but China is also very different. Where most of the cities in China don't look so great. But yeah, so I guess we should pin that with saying that this was not a good place to live. This was a cheap, affordable, and
Yeah, if you needed to
disgusting
escape the law.
area to live. Yeah, and then you also wanted to kind of like escape the law, hit up an opium den, get a tooth pulled.
Mhm.
You could do that here. Okay. Well, then I think that covers all the questions on that. So that's wild. And no wonder that they knocked it down, because they were like, this place fucking sucks.
Yeah.
This is a cesspool. Knocking it down.
Yeah, but like I said, any like dystopian future movie setting
Yeah.
that you see where it's like just hyper crowded, usually covered in like neon signs and
Yeah.
all that a lot of that's imagery is just based off of
Yeah.
Kowloon.
You ready to talk about Blackrock? Because speaking of places to live, this kind of seems like a good spot to...
You mean, am I ready to rant about Blackrock?
Yeah.
So, something that'll speak to many people my age and younger, maybe slightly older. Buying a house sucks right now.
Yes.
Buying a house has sucked for a while now,
Yeah.
and it's only getting worse.
Yeah.
In 2008, I shouldn't have been studying for, a math test. I should have been buying a frickin' house.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you should have been applying for a loan.
I shouldn't have been going
Quit
to high
studying.
school.
Go apply for a loan, kid. Get a job.
Yeah, don't even finish middle school. Just buy a house.
You see the housing prices? What are you still doing in school? Go buy.
But
It's a buyer's market.
yeah. So it's been said countless countless times. It doesn't need to be repeated, but I'm going to anyway. You look at how much the price of housing has climbed in the past 20, 30, 40 years. 50 years?
50.
50 years, yeah, the 70s.
Yeah, I would call it 50, yeah. I would say the 70s is where it
50
really...
50 years, how much housing has climbed in pricing versus how much the average wage has climbed. And it is unacceptable. It's absolutely ridiculous. Housing at some point stopped becoming a commodity and started becoming an investment. And whenever something turns into an investment, it just gets inflated in pricing.
Yeah.
So there are many things at play, but one of the biggest investors that's speculating in the real estate market now is BlackRock. I mean, they're just one of the biggest investors.
I don't even think it's even speculating anymore. I think we can, like, at this point, it's
manipulating.
No, like, they're now, we know that they're buying up properties.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it's speculation on them buying properties. If you're speculating a market, you're like just investing.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, making changing it somehow.
Well,
like having an effect on it.
Generally, like involved in like.
Yeah.
If you're speculating on the stock market, like you're generally just involved in investing and whatnot.
Yeah.
I could be getting the minutia of the terms messed up. Regardless, the fact of the matter is they're buying freaking houses.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And not just buying houses, they're buying them cash before any of us really can sit in front of the market and either bid or just put in our, like, at an auction or even just put on a regular bid traditionally.
Yeah,
like
with
those
a mortgage.
houses don't even make it to the market because BlackRock has already taken them cash.
There have been stories people
No
talking
mortgage.
about. There's stories people talking about like they're literally cold calling them, knocking on their door, like, hey, do you want to sell me your house? I'll give you. $150,000 over market price right now.
Jesus.
It's just like, how does a regular person compete with that?
Yeah.
But they're buying them to rent them.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
all they want to do is they want to buy up these properties and then start renting them out. Yeah, and it might not just be BlackRock, but like there's tons of like real estate investment firms that are just doing that. So you've got a bunch of corporations buying these houses, and they're targeting. Oh my God, is that freaking fly?
It's the fly.
But they're targeting a specific type of house. Now, me.
Keep going.
Yeah.
I'll deal with the fly.
So,
Sorry.
You already have a house. You managed to get a single family house right before COVID too.
Yeah.
So you got lucky with like your interest rate and all that.
And lucky is an understatement because I'm being honest, like. Good feeling or bad feeling about what I was doing, but I certainly felt good about what I was doing, but I didn't know what I was doing was this important until now. Oh, damn it. I'm so sorry. I didn't get a fly. God, I was so close.
Mm-hmm.
If I just moved even slower. But
maybe.
Yeah, so yes, I do have a house now, and I'm happy to be a homeowner that had gotten in before the interest rates had just spiked.
Well, that and COVID
and the price
just drove the prices through the roof.
Yeah.
But
that's how crazy it was that we bought during COVID.
Yeah, you bought a single family house.
Yeah.
It's not a townhouse, it's not a condo, it's not an apartment.
Yeah.
You bought what would traditionally be called a starter house.
Yeah.
Which is just in such short supply right now because no one's building them.
Yeah.
The contractors, because cost of everything has gone up, they're looking to either build like luxury apartments. And I guess not the contractors, but like the people who are commissioning these houses.
Yeah.
They're looking to build luxury apartments. It's always luxury apartments. It's never an affordable apartment.
Yeah.
Or they're building these neighborhoods filled with $600,000-$700,000 McMansions because they need to get the most return on investment because everything's gotten so freaking expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not building these starter homes, these single family houses. They're in limited supply, and then BlackRock is out here buying those because those make the best rental properties.
Yep.
They're not even like hardly building townhouses anymore.
Yeah.
You and me both grew up in townhouses. I don't want anything to do with another townhouse. I am currently living in an apartment. I am sick of being able to hear everything my neighbors do. I'm sick of like if I'm up at 3 a.m, because we have night shift and all that.
Sure.
I don't want to have to like tiptoe around.
Yeah.
Because I have to be considerate to my neighbors, especially when half the time the neighbors aren't considerate back. So,
True.
I want a single family house. Nothing crazy, nothing big. Like your house isn't anything fancy.
Right.
That'd be more than perfect for
Thanks.
me.
No, I was kidding.
Yeah, but
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, I don't live in a mansion. I don't live in like a super nice like house. Like it's just what you would consider a normal house.
yeah,
It's just,
your
it's just
starter
normal.
home is now your permanent home.
Yeah.
I hope you're happy with it.
Yeah. I hope I'm
you're
I'm
never
happy
leaving.
with 1,000 square foot.
Yeah. But I just want something like that.
Yeah.
I don't even need like a whole big yard. Your yard's
Yeah.
like actually sizable.
Yeah,
which
I
is
mean,
nice.
again, it's 1,000 square foot on 3/4 of an acre. You know,
Yeah.
I'm sure that some biologists will now just figure out, or geologists will just figure out
One of those
exactly where my house
geoguessers.
is. Yeah, there's geoguessers that will just be like, oh, he lives here. Fuck.
Yeah. But
Yes.
I'd love something like that.
Yeah.
Just to have that air gap between the houses.
Yeah.
I don't even need space, like land. Just have that bit of air gap does so much for just privacy and not having to be like overly
Yeah.
considerate about.
Yeah, even if
bothering
the
other
houses are
people.
20 feet away, where like out of your side window, you could throw a balloon at
Yeah.
or a rock at the next house. Like, you're right. Even just having that barrier is just it's noise. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about that. You know, and which is very nice, and like that's what we should be aiming for. But like to your point too, like I think there's also a good spot for townhouses. Just how like they should be making cheaper apartments, they should be making cheaper houses.
Yeah, but they're not.
Affordable houses.
All like new construction housing that I've seen is McMansions.
Yeah, and
Or-
it's not only is it McMansions, but those prices are also going up.
Yeah.
Like they're charging more than they should be for these properties. And it's not right.
So, and again, these starter homes are in limited supply because they're not making any more of them. They
Yeah.
just aren't. And then BlackRock and all these other
State
real
Street.
estate investment firms, they're buying into these properties to rent them, and they rent them at exorbitant prices.
Yeah,
There's
they're not doing anyone any favors.
no, not at all. They don't give a shit what
Yeah.
your condition
It's
is, what
profit.
your thing. They're after maximizing profit. Speaking of which, last year, 2 years ago, I think it was, I think still during COVID, because the big hullabaloo was that fact that they had the audacity to do this while everyone was struggling through COVID. But there's this one company, I forget what they're called, but they offer this algorithm that analyzes like property values in the area and all that, and will figure out how to maximize the profit you as a landlord or as a company that is running the apartment complex make. And what was really fucked up was that the algorithm calculated, like, if we raise prices of rent this high, we're gonna force some people out, we're gonna have some empty units, but we're still gonna make more money than if we dropped it low enough to fill all of the units. So that's what they did.
Yeah, so
And,
they don't even have to have full occupancy. And
Yeah.
the way they looked at that is that like, look, we're gonna like have high value to our units individually, and the other units are an investment in the sense that like no one's gonna live in them, no one's gonna mess them up,
But we're still making more money.
and we're still making more money. So like they're literally like reducing the size.
They're
of
reducing
their,
wear and tear.
of their apartment
their
complex.
overhead price.
Yeah, and making the same money off of it. So it's less maintenance, less like you said, abuse
Yeah.
and use, and like upgrades, and the rest of it all stays perfect. And they're like, yeah, and the best part is they're like, we can make our profit off of this, and if someone wants the next unit over, great.
Yeah.
But we're still making our
And then it
profit
gets
here.
worse because all of the other apartment complexes in the area are using the same software.
Same model. Yeah.
It's all of it.
Dude. So what does this lead to, man? This leads to people being homeless.
Mm-hmm.
This leads to people like never being able to like get a foot out of their parents' house.
Or do anything other than rent an apartment, which rent is going through the roof because of that
Yeah.
algorithm and
Yeah.
shit like that. So in the end, like, you will own nothing and you will be happy.
Yeah, the Great Reset.
Yeah. So
That's a scary thing, and we should talk about that because that was that guy who you just quoted. Who was that guy's name?
but the you own, I don't know. Isn't he like from the World Economic Forum or
Yes,
something?
and like, but their biggest like model is that Great Reset, and like that was his introduction. He said that like in that speech of they called the Great Reset.
Are they also the ones pushing for all these 15-minute cities?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I remember I talked to you about the whole like travel credits thing.
Yeah.
I forget, like, I didn't look too far into that. I just saw one like article and skimmed it. Really should have looked into that. But like,
Yeah.
is that also? Did they talk about that kind of shit?
I don't.
It feels like.
I
that.
mean, yeah, I don't know the specifics that way, but it does feel like. I mean, it feels like something they would want to back. you know. But again, like the idea being like what they're saying with this great reset is that like, look, like we are going to take the responsibility of ownership from the people because we don't want them to worry about it. You're going to own nothing and you're going to be happy about it. But I think that's the very opposite.
Yeah, because I am pouring all of this money into rent. More and more of my monthly my monthly income is as a percentage going to rent, because that's the other thing that's gone up a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
And I'm getting no equity.
Yeah.
Well, there was a study that shows like the single most powerful builder of wealth a person can do is buy a house.
Yes.
Because now, you're paying money to own the thing, pay off your mortgage, blah, blah, blah. But you're getting equity back. And when you do pay it off, you've got a massive lump sum of cash that you can now, if you sell the house, do with it whatever you need to do. Or you refinance your mortgage because you need that money. It can get you out of so many situations that otherwise.
I agree. And you're completely right. And you're coming from like that point. I will bring to the account an emotional and a spiritual aspect to that. So like as a homeowner, nothing makes you feel more happy than having your own home and then more connected to your community and making you feel like you're a part of something because you live in that community. Yeah. Like when I remember the first time I was paying school tax and I was like, how much like paying for school tax? Like we don't have kids, like, and I didn't quite understand it. And then I'm seeing like my neighbor kids growing up and like them turning into young men, and they're not my kids, but I'm like, what they're going to these schools
that I'm helping to pay for.
I'm like, that's what this is for. Like I'm a part of a community. Yeah. Like they're not just taking money from me. Like I'm a part of this community. And then, on a smaller scale, it also just feels good to cut my grass. It feels good to like change some things in the house.
Pride of ownership is a thing.
Pride of ownership, man.
Like my apartment right now, there's no decorations on the wall.
Exactly.
The furniture's all mix match because I got it for free. But
you don't decorate because it isn't yours.
It's not mine. I have to spackle any holes I put in the wall if I hang a freaking picture frame. Like it's not worth it. And I always look at an apartment as like a temporary thing. I've been there for like 7 years, which is like 5 years longer than I wanted. But I can't put the money away. The place is expensive. Yeah, and it's the cheapest place in my area. Yeah, I've looked. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and they're remodeling. Yeah, and they're remodeling, so they're charging like $1,700 a month for the new units. Yeah. They're charging me like $13, but it goes up every year. It's close to $14 now. It was about $1,000 when I first moved in. But that's the cheapest in my area. Yeah. And if I were to just move out and move back in, it would go up $400. Mm-hmm. Then the only reason they can't charge me that much is there are limits to how much they can raise the rent every year.
Yeah, and then to that point too, though, dude, like if you had moved, like your area does a lot for you financially for work. It's been, super important for you, like with all the jobs you have had in your past and still today. Like that area does work for you. If you want to buy a house there, like you'd have to just stumble upon $100,000 or like $100 million. I mean,
yeah, $100,000 is the down payment.
Yeah, $100,000
right on your earphones.
Damn this fly.
Go.
So, surprise guest on our podcast today is the most annoying fly ever.
Yeah, seriously.
So we're really had to an apology, but we'll move past the fly since it's gone. But yeah. So So the point being that the price of housing now is so high, interest rates are so high. I mean, even to be able to buy like a median style house, we're looking at like $2,000 to $3,000 a month with the interest rate to compensating for the interest rates that are now being applied to all these mortgages because like, no one has it. And then to your point, like, I mean, how much is the down payment, And then there's a lot of cases where like, we have some good realtors that can help you out with figuring out loopholes and
you
like
can do first time homeowners as well, which is like no down payment required and all that. But like
that interest
rate,
is
a seller also is a seller gonna want to go for that when BlackRock's like, I'll give you cash right now.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
offer you more.
Exactly. Yeah. So even if you do get an opportunity to be in front of a house, yeah, that's what's happening. And like to that point, like if you are someone who's buying a house right now, and like even when we bought our house, we had 4 bidders that were in front of us, and so it just happened to be that like my realtor was like, "Hey, this has been on and off the market already for like different things. We knew how it went the first time. Give them what they're asking for, and show them the down payment they want to see so that like you can get it. And that's what we had to do. And that was before anything went crazy, so I can't imagine now they're like, hey, you're gonna have to go like probably 6% over what they're asking.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, not to mention, like, in this area, the houses have also gone up like $50,000.
That's what I'm saying. But then, like, there's the drive for people actually wanting to buy a house is so high. You're competing against so many other people that they're like, look, if you don't like start out like 4 or 5% over what they're asking, you might not get it.
Yeah.
Because everybody's dying for the house. So like, and all it takes is like one bid, and then pretty quickly, like they just see that one big bid, the seller, and they're like, yep, we'll take it. They see that one big one, and they're like, yeah, we'll take it. And I was like, fuck. And like what that does across the board is now they're like, did you hear that like Cindy just sold the house down the street from us for, $100,000 more than we sold our house for? That's crazy. Our house is way nicer than theirs. We could get double. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so like that just helps influence like the increases in prices as well. It's just like the fact that people need the scariness of like trying to buy a house right now. It's like it's
supply across the board is down.
Yeah, but like you were saying though, like the big thing being that Blackrock is coming in and just swooping in before anything even hits the market, and maybe even like in some cases you were saying that they were kind of creating a market by like cold calling, saying like I'll buy your house. It's like, geez, people who didn't even want to sell, they're like, yeah, give me your house. I'm gonna give you so much for it. And then they're not like just fixing it up and putting it back into the market, creating like a higher tax bracket for people, like, which could be good and bad in a lot of cases. Like, they're just flat out buying perfect homes or like in well-conditioned homes and putting them on for rental and making exorbitant amount of money. It's crazy. I mean, how do we stop this?
Well,
RFK? Yeah. He's the only one who's talking about it.
A lot of what I've seen people suggest is you put like a tax on
commercial properties.
Having multiple homes. I kind of don't agree with that if you're a legitimate like private homeowner, like you have like a beach house or something.
Yeah.
But if it's a corporation, tax the hell out of them. Do it.
Yeah.
If a corporation has a property in a residentially zoned area, tax the living shit out of them.
Yeah.
Make it illegal.
Yeah.
If it's a mom and pop who are a landlord, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But, leave the corporations to apartments.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like there's...
houses should be commodities again.
Yeah.
That's how it was pre-1970. That's how, people could afford to have a vacation home and 3 kids on one job.
Yeah.
A factory job even, like not even like a super skilled labor.
Yeah, and then the inflation wasn't where it is, as far as the cost, and wages weren't down as far as they are now.
Yeah, you are beyond lucky if you find a job that pays you at a rate that keeps up with inflation.
Yeah.
Like that is next to unheard of.
Yeah. And I'm sure that the majority of the population, you're right, is under that.
Yeah, 3% raise.
They're still drowning.
5% raise.
Yeah, everyone's drowning in inflation, and prices for houses are just going up.
Yeah,
rental
houses
properties,
houses and rent are far outpacing inflation. I think inflation at its highest was 8%. Housing market since like 2020 has gone up 400.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
or maybe not that much. I'm confused. I've seen so many videos on it. I'm confusing. Like, I think it's from the 70s.
Metrics.
Well, it's from the 1970s now. Housing has gone up 400%. Inflation's gone up like 40.
Yeah.
It's like outpaced it by like 100 times. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Dude, I believe it. I mean, it's crazy. And the only way that we, I feel like we fix it, like you were saying, like the tax helps, but like, I think the whole system kind of has to be a little bit upended. Is what I think.
Yeah,
I think
there's
that, like,
no
we need
easy...
to restructure the way that we're offering mortgages, and the prices of these houses need to come down. And I know that that's not like the most simple thing in the world, but also, there should be like a self-leveling with this that happens, that like maybe at some point, like, no one's going to be able to afford to buy them, and no one's going to afford to buy the houses. But what we're worried about is that, like, when we all refuse as, like, just citizens, we just refuse to buy these houses because they're too expensive. We wait. We just hunker down and save as much money as we can while we're in rental properties or wherever we're at.
Which is already being problematic.
Yeah, which is
rent's gone through the...
it's a problem on its own. But then during that waiting period, BlackRock has come in and bought up all the houses. And before you know it, now, like, that...
And now they're the rental properties that you're hunkering down in.
Yeah, so now, like, the properties that you can buy in the United States has just shrunk. I mean, it already has shrunk. It's like it's crazy. So, like, all of that needs to be reverted, and something has to be wrong. Like, I mean, capitalism, we're all for it, but, like, monopolies are scary.
So,
and this is what this looks
when it comes to,
like,
like, capitalism and all that, I'm a firm believer that restricting things doesn't work as well as incentivizing.
Yeah.
So,
positive
if the government wants to do, like, some kind of affordable care or affordable housing act thing, incentivize these constructors, these contractors, all that to to build affordable houses.
No,
I'm not just talking about apartments and all that.
They don't need new houses. I think they need to sell these fucking rental properties that
we need houses. We 100%
BlackRock needs to sell these houses that
BlackRock is doing
they're renting.
A number on that, but it is a far bigger problem than just BlackRock. Back in 2008, like right before...
So we don't have enough houses for the population.
Right before the collapse, we had a supply of about 4,800,000, something like that, like damn near 5 million houses on the market.
Mm-hmm.
We're down to 1 million, not even.
Yeah. Yeah, which is crazy if you think about it.
And, how many of these are also, like, just too big and unaffordable, like these McMansions?
Yeah.
So I'm saying we need to
increase
the
supply. We're on the other
supply.
scale.
We need to get rid of... we need to get BlackRock and all these other, like, investment firms out of the residential homes. They can have the apartments. That something like that needs to be run by a company. It's just too much for, like, a person to run.
No, we understand that. But we're just saying, I'm saying that, like, these houses that they've turned into rental properties, like we shouldn't be allowed to, like, monopolize, like you were saying. Like, it should be, like, an incentivized or maybe, like, a cap on, like, how many you can have. But,
well, like I was saying, get
an LLC shouldn't be allowed to just buy up houses.
Get an LLC or any kind of other, like, business out of residential zoning.
Mm-hmm.
Get them out outside of, like, apartment complexes. Incentivize construction companies, contractors, whatever they're called, to build houses like this. Like your house.
Yeah, something that is, like,
townhouses, even.
Yeah, but just, like, something that is, like relatively, like, small, affordable, and in like a relative zoning of, like, not making it a townhouse, but also, like, making it
as much as I hate them, even build townhouses. Like, they're affordable.
That's what I was saying too. I was like, I'm for townhouses too, because I feel like that's townhouses.
I just don't like them myself because I grew up in one and I'm kind of over it.
But townhouses, like you were saying, are the perfect starter home.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's a good place to start from, like, going from an apartment to, like, hey, like, now your upstairs and your downstairs are yours. You got to worry about the walls.
See, whenever people talk about, like, making affordable housing, they immediately go for high density, high efficiency, in the city type apartments.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need those. Because all the apartments being built now are luxury apartments that go for, like, $2,000+ a month when you live in bumfuck nowhere.
Yeah.
God forbid you live in the city. But that's only, like, that's one part of the issue. I already live in an apartment. Like, I'm not trying to be selfish and just me. But there are so many people who are in my position just spinning our wheels. We're already in apartments.
Yeah.
They're not super cheap, but we can afford them.
Yeah.
We can kind of put some money away, but the housing market's climbing faster than I can put a down payment together.
Yeah.
So we also need to focus on the people looking to buy a house. Like, yes, we need to take care of the people who have no home, who need, like, an affordable apartment, whatever.
But a townhouse, a townhouse is a property that you can own, and you can begin to own and create equity in, and then also sell.
Except, well, now wouldn't be a bad time. But if you had bought a townhouse and we're looking to get out now, you would be screwed because you've got, what, a 3-point-something% interest rate, and now it's 7%.
Yeah, exactly. No one's moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the other
That's
problem.
also
is
locking
like,
people into
that's
places.
I think that's probably also another reason why there's less houses on the market right now. Is not that there like aren't houses or people gobbled up all the houses. It's just that people aren't selling because they know they can sell for a lot of money, but then they go into the next house and they're going to pay like they're going to double their mortgage because like they also bought a bigger house.
That's what I was saying. Your starter home has become your forever home.
Yeah, you're stuck. Yeah.
But
well, I mean, we're happy here, so and then thank God. But
Yeah.
I mean, but regardless, I mean, for everyone else who like you can't even get like their foot in the door, you know, it's just it's unbelievable. You know, it's not the American dream. You know, so that's what I'm saying. Like, whatever has been happening, I mean, it's not doing anybody any good. It's not doing American people good.
No.
By letting this kind of housing crisis happen.
Oh, and I do want to address if there's anyone out there who wants to talk about how in the 70s the interest rate was like 13-14%. The principal like mortgage payment has climbed so much faster in like the last 50 years that even adjusted for inflation, even with that worse interest payment,
we're still paying more.
We're still paying a shitload more.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
If you wanna call me an entitled lazy millennial, first off, I work like 50 hours a week plus. I'm in a skilled trade.
Yeah.
I pull my weight.
Yeah.
But it costs so much more money now.
Yeah.
So much more of a
And
percentage of my income goes to just having somewhere to sleep at night.
Yeah. And it's crazy that it's like we've been like you and I have talked about this like a million times off the podcast, and it's just so crazy that like when you look at like the root of the cause, it's just that simple. Things are too expensive, and it's like there's no way it's that simple. It's like there's a lot of factors that make it that way, but it's just that simple.
Yeah,
like shit's too expensive. It's crazy, and those high interest rates back then, I think contributed to the fact that like,
I would gladly trade the high interest rates for that. Like that price.
Yeah, but those high interest rates were just a clause like to the innovation that was happening that the banks were doing. So the banks just, for the first time in a long time, had like tons of money out. So yeah, they needed high interest rates because they were literally lending for a lot of stuff. Like the innovation of the 70s was crazy. You know?
Do you want to call that innovation, or do you want to call that like setting up the future for failure?
Well, I guess now, yeah. I mean, hindsight, but I guess yeah. But I mean, in that time period though, that was like a lot of like the factories, a lot of like new innovations for cars, a lot of like new homes, new like roads and things like that. Like there was a lot of like crazy stuff that was happening in the 70s that like in between like the era of like the 50s homes to like the 60s. There was that like, monumental change between the 70s and the 80s. As far as like cities, Miami, like there's so much stuff going on, so like I think that's what contributed. I'm not positive, but I had to like at least guess that's what kind of contributed to those interest rates being high in the 70s. But
I mean, it makes sense to me.
But like you're saying, it doesn't even matter.
Expert.
Yeah, it doesn't matter like whatever their interest rates
even
were
with that
high.
interest rate, it was so much cheaper.
Yeah, which would just put it in a better perspective for everyone. That's how expensive this stuff is right now. It's insane. So
yeah.
So hopefully someone comes along and fixes all this because you and I can't. So
yeah, I think like with the current interest rate, the average mortgage payment like across the country is like coming up on $2,000, if not over $2,000.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And if you taken a 1970s mortgage payment and that interest rate and adjusted it for inflation, it'd be like $900.
$800. I was going to say, I think it was like $800. Yeah.
Even with a 14% interest rate.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So
I just wanted to put numbers to it for the people who might have been struggling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think everybody appreciates it. So, on that bombshell, I think we should end.
Yeah. Stay depressed, people.
So, stay depressed.
It's not getting better.
We have no good news. This was a sad podcast, but
I wouldn't say it was a sad podcast, just an angry ending.
We talked about a lot of scary stuff and a lot of things that weren't. Pegasus, China, currency. I mean, it was.
This was the fear-mongering episode. Be scared.
Yeah. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed it, as always, and we appreciate it.
We have stickers now.
We have stickers now, so shout us out. All right. Much love.